Welcome back, YouTube. Today, you can see my Camaro is all one color, just in case you were guys wondering. It's all primed. It's just so nice to have it all one color. But I sanded it down, took a lot off the front bumper, and that's what we got. Got it looking like now. Real smooth around. Just a rough, I guess you'd call it paint job. It's not paint, but it's primer. So rough primer job, but it still needs to be sanded down to get paint. But what we got today in this video, that was just a little update, we've got injectors. So we're going to do the injectors today, and if anyone is new to my channel, this is my 89 Iroc Z28. And this is the L98 motor that we're going to be working on. So let's get into this. What I did just to, before we even get to the fuel rails, is I disconnected my battery just so it doesn't maintain as much pressure as it would if you didn't, but we'll get there. But right now I have that unplugged, plus, you know, just in case. So the first thing is we're going to start over here on your throttle body cables. This one's going to pop out. You can see that side, it just pushes out. And now we need to get this clip off, and all we're going to do is there's a little hook on the top of this. We're just going to get a flat head. We're going to pry this up and then out. And this is what it looks like once you get it out. It's just a little lip that was covering it, and it's got the small hole and the big hole, so once you get that off, you just pop it over. So now we can take this off, place it down there, and next up we have the last cable that's holding this together. So the last cable, this one that runs up here, I've got my needle nose. Easiest way to do it, all you have to do is grab this one right here, this little nub. It continues to go through, so it locks it in place. You just have to grab this and pull it out. A little bit of a pain in the butt, but I got this one out. That's what it's going to look like. It's just popped in here. Sometimes it'll help if you actually pull this forward. It'll loosen it up a little bit for you. But now everything attached to the throttle body is disconnected. So next up, we're just going to take this whole piece off. We're just going to get a flat head into here, loosen these up, and move these out of the way. Now that we've taken that off, we can get to the 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are all 10 millimeters. And once you take all 4 of those off, this whole throttle body will be able to move out, and we'll be able to work on the next step. And here are the bolts that come out. Just took them all out. And now you're able to move this away. If you want to completely take this out, all of these lines need to be taken out. The only thing that I disconnected was the TPS right here, just so I could get to this bolt a lot easier. So I've got that right down here, but that's pretty much what I have removed right now, just to get it out of the way so the plenum can come up. And if you do want to take these out, make sure you do something to label them if you're not familiar with the engine. What I'm going to do once we get further into this is I'm going to get a piece of tape, wrap it around, and put a number on it, especially when we get to the injector wires. So next, what we're going to be doing is taking off the top portion of the plenum here. As you can see, there is a T40 there. There's also one down here. Can't really see it. There's one up here. And on the other side, it's the same thing. I'll show you in a second. But if you do have one of these for hoses or clips or anything, this is going to be a 10 millimeter to put around here, and then you'll loosen it up and that'll come off. So around here on the other side, let me grab the light. Over here on the other side, it's the same setup. 1, 2, 3, and 4 back there in the corner. So I just finished up with the other side, and I just wanted to tell you guys, if you have an extension, you can get to this one, but if you do actually want to take these apart, you can either completely take off the bolts, take this out as a unit, or what you can do is there's two little pins here, squeeze them in, and they'll push through. Same thing on the other side. There's little pins on there. There you go. You can see there's pins. This one squeezes this way, this one squeezes like that. Once that's squeezed through, then they can be pushed through. But I'm just going to keep this whole thing together, just use a little extension and get this one out. There we go. There's all the bolts out of there. They're all the same size, just like the other ones from the throttle body. So the only thing keeping this middle piece on right here is going to be these vacuum lines here in the back. Try to get some light in on this. There you go. You got some vacuum lines hooked up there. You just gotta pop those out, at least one side of them. And like I said before, if you need to, go ahead and label those so you know where they go back. And here they are taken off. They are two different sizes, so when you do put it back together, you can't really mix them up. So, I'm gonna leave this vacuum line in place, and also the other one over here. Just gotta remember to plug those back in once we put everything back together. So now, this whole piece can come out to about this far until you have to take this guy off right here, this wire harness. All you have to do is just pop that down, wiggle it out, there it is. Now the whole thing is loose. You actually have to lift this up just a tiny bit to get to that one, but once it is out, now everything is free. Alright, now that it is up and out of the way, we can take a look-see up top. Check your wires and whatnot, and vacuum lines, make sure they're all still in place if you're using this for reference. But now we have to dig around and we gotta find all these little hidden T10 torque screws. So we have one right here. There it is. Got one right there. We have another one nestled down in here. And we have another one, same thing, snugged away. I've got a wire in the way. Let me show you, it's actually right behind this wire right here. If I can, there we go. That guy right there. Also, up top in here, we've got another one right there. I may be missing one, but we'll see here in a second. And just like I thought, there was two more. There's a total of 6. Just forgot where the other ones were. But there is one hiding down in between these two tubes. Can't really focus in on it, but there's one right down there, and the same thing in between these two. It is hidden down right in the little butt crack of those, so gotta get those. Here's the bolt that's on the inside. I'll show you in just a second. This one is a slightly longer than what we've previously taken out everywhere else, plus it doesn't have threads all the way up. So compared to the other ones, it's a little bit longer, and that is the one that is right here on the inside. So the bolt that is right there in the middle is the same size as the previous ones that we've been taking out. As you can see here, this bolt is slightly longer than the other ones, and it also has no threads up there, just like this one, but shorter. This one came out of a corner right down here, one that was hidden by that wire. Okay, so the best way that I figured out how to take this one out is I got an extension just like that with the T40 at the end, but I still couldn't get the right angle. So what I did is I took off the injector plugs. All you need to do is just push in this metal piece like that so it pops up, and then they come right out. They're super easy to pop out. I marked the ones that will be on the left, so when I put it back, I'm not going to mix it up. Did the same thing on that side. And this big wiring harness that was jammed down in here, way down in the corner, it was down there, just lift that up, and just like that, I was able to get the perfect amount of clearance without taking anything else out. And this is the bolt that came out, really long, and only half of it is threaded. And here is the final bolt that just came out. Looks just like the previous one that we took out, that was also in between the two. So now that they are all out, we should be able to, there we go, pop it loose, and just be able to gently finagle this around. And there we go, there it is out. And now we have access to everything. All I did was just lean it forward. It came right out. There was no struggle. Here it is. All I did was just lean forward and it came out. All you have to do is, if you did it my way, just scoot these over to the side since this whole thing's loose. And you just have to scoot it over. And there you go. That is one side out. Now we get to move to the other side, the driver's side. Well, I tried to do something here, because from the looks of it, once I got this one out, and we've got this one over here, I took out the 10mm, well, 3 of them, took out the 10mm bolts, because it looks like I've got enough room in here to pop it up and shimmy it out, but these things are on so damn tight, I can't get that one out. Maybe if yours aren't on tight, you'd be able to get it, but mine are, so if you can, put it in the comments below and let me know if you actually were able to do that, if you do this and you can somehow crack this loose. I tried with a wrench and I still couldn't get it. These things are torqued on so tight. So now I'm gonna head over to this side. So just like the other side, this one has 6. So if we look in here, there's one right there. The second one is going to be just like the other side, in between, right down in here. It's going to be 2. And you can see that one right there, that's 3. And again, in between these two, there's going to be another one in there. And then right back here, see that lonely little guy back there? That's going to be 5. And the 6th one is going to be up top. You can see it right there, snuggled in the corner, right back there. That is going to be number 6. Just a quick tip for you guys. If you don't have one of these tools for this job, this is absolutely amazing. It's a magnet. That's all it is. It's a very strong one, telescoping. But how easy it is, I'm just using an open one just so you can see how it is. Once you get it all the way loosened up, and you just grab onto it like that, especially these ones snug down in the corner, or the one I'm about to do way in that back corner, this is an absolute lifesaver. So for the screw types, over on this side, the first one right there, you can see that is going to be the normal size one, the small one on the left, and as we go to the right, that long one is going to be the one that was in between, the same as the other side. And then again, the one that was right over there is the same, the short one. I have them in a row. So short, middle, short for the 3 sides. And then right now, I have this one, which was the one in between. It's the same as the one in between here and same on the other side. This is the one that was on the inside, so that was drilled in that way. That's why I have it facing like that. And the last one, I'm actually not going to pull out. I'm going to leave it in there, since all I need to do is move this back a little bit. It doesn't have to come out. I mean, you can, but that one back there is kind of a pain in the butt to put back in. So I'm just going to scoot this back a little bit, get this out of the way, and I should be able to get that last bolt up top to remove the fuel rail. Now let me tell you a sad story about this Craftsman 10mm. It died. And then I used another one, another 10mm, and it died. So then I used another 10mm, a long one. And you know what? It died too. Look at that. Crack all the way down. 3 10mm died for one bolt on the damn fuel rail. Fuck you, dude. So, if yours... Good thing 2 of those are Craftsman, so I get brand new ones if I just go to Sears. Anywho, I had to use... Good thing I had this. This is a 10mm. This is like a super beef version, so... Good thing I had this beefy version, or else I would have been screwed. That last one destroyed 3. Anyway, now that everything, all of the nuts are out, all 4 of them, now what we can do, there are 2 steel fuel lines that are still connected before this whole thing can come out. If you just, like I said, if you just wanted to do that, then you can pop these up and take those out. So we're going to go around to the front, and right up here, these down here, these 2 right there, those are the 2 that we have to remove. So the bottom one, best view that I can get, the bottom one is a 16, so you're going to use the 16 to move it around, and then the top one is a 19, and so you're going to hold it with a 19, and you're going to use the 16 to take off the smaller fuel rail nut. So now that I've loosened those 2 up that are attached to that bracket, you can either take that bracket off, and then the whole bracket will come out, and then it'll just disattach right here, but I cannot get to that, or I can get to it, it'll just take forever. It's like 1 click on the ratchet. So what I'm gonna do is, if you just follow it over a little bit, there's a little bracket holding it in place. You can take this off if you want to. A little screw down here, it's like a 7mm, and then what I'm gonna do is just take these fuel rails off, which are the same sizes as the ones right over there for the small nut and the big nut. I'm just going to take those off, and once those are off, then I can just slide those out and the whole fuel rail will come out. This little clip, I just bent it up. There's like a little 7mm holding that in place. Move this up. I also loosened the bolt here, but now that these are nice and loose, I can actually come in with a socket this way underneath to get to that bolt so I can take it off. Okay, I backed out the bolt. Now it's free. So now we can pick this whole thing up and take it out of here, take a look at it. And there it is, finally out of the car. I've got it flipped upside down so we can get to the clips. And these are what the clips look like. They're little horseshoes that stay in there. Of course my phone doesn't get it. There we go. Little horseshoes that that fit in there, and all you have to do is spin them. You can do it from either side. You can see this is the inside. You've got the long one, and then the little short nub, and you can also look at it from the outside underneath. It has the same on both sides. So whichever one is easier for you to get to, this one would be my next one. So I'm going to get my flathead, which I have right here. What I'm going to do, can't do this with one hand, but I'm going to use this and I'm going to pry it from here over to here. So all I'm doing is just turning it, and then once it's all the way over here, you just pull and the injector will come out. There it goes. And just like that, all of them are out. Save your clips, because at least for me, the new ones that I got, they do not come with new clips. So I've got to save those. And make sure these come out. If they did stick in there, make sure they're all clear. Take a look at that, guys. Nasty, rusted. This was on the inside. Just nasty, muddy grossness. So because of all that grossness, you guys can see there's a bunch of crap just floating around in there. So, gotta get some cleaner and clean the inside of this out. Alright, now it's nice, clean, dry. Now I can put in the new injectors. Just like before, I'm going to pop them in. I'm going to put the clip onto it first, put it down, and then turn it. And remember, before installing, put just a little bit of oil around the rubber gasket so you get a nice fit and it slides in easier. So if you want to keep the retaining pins, if you still have all of yours and none of them are broken, apparently they're not needed to keep them in place because, I mean, once they're in top and bottom, they're pretty much bolted down by the fuel rail and the what's above it. Anyway, if you do want to put them back in, you're going to clip them on so they're around your new injector, and you're going to have it facing like this. You're going to have the open side facing one way, and the other side is going to be the really skinny part. So once you put it in, you'll have the little knob right there, and then once you push it all the way down, you're going to spin it. And now it all comes back together. So when putting everything back together, it's way simpler than it was before when you're taking everything apart. But I just wanted to highlight a few things that you might forget, and it's pretty easy to forget. This guy under here, you may have taken, it's a vacuum line that goes up to your throttle body. Make sure that goes back in. Obviously, all of your fuel injector clips go back in. All of this goes back together, all of your throttle body cables. Underneath here, I think that's your EGR, of course the vacuum lines, but also the plug. That's one of the things I forgot to do, so I had to take the whole thing back off just to lift the middle piece and clip that back in. Anything you may have unplugged, I had to unplug my alternators just to get this thing to move so I could get in there a lot better. Make sure all of your lines are nice and tight. We'll come back to that once we start the car. And back over here on the passenger side of the car, make sure these guys are plugged back in. The larger one on the left, the skinnier one on the right, just plugged back in right here. Make sure all of your injector plugs are back into place. Another thing that I noticed is this guy back in here, that one liked to get up really close, so when I was putting back in the screws in the bottom, it liked to jam itself in between it. So make sure that's not in the way. Plug back in all of your sensors up here, your TPS and your mass airflow. It's another one I almost forgot about. Mass airflow sensor, because that one's just on the bottom, you don't really see it. And anything else you might have done in there. But once all of that is put back to the way it was supposed to be, obviously the air induction too, then we can go inside and prime it so there's fuel back in the system ready for it to be started. So now that we're on the inside of the car, grab your keys and you're going to turn it until you hear that, your fuel pump priming. And then you're gonna cycle the key over and over. Mine takes a while. I don't know if that's just my car or everyone else's. I have to take the key out, wait 30 seconds, maybe a minute, until the ECU says, okay, I can prime it again so it doesn't flood the system. Turn it again, prime it a few times, just so everything's in the system, everything's up to pressure, and everything gets all the way up to the fuel rails. And once that's done, then you have to come back out here. If you screwed with the fuel lines, which you probably did, make sure there's no leaks, because now that you have the fuel pump primed, go through here, make sure there's no leaks, everything's dry here and up here where you unscrewed everything to get the whole thing out. If you did it that way. So everything's dry, everything looks good. The fuel injectors, there's nothing wet, there's no fuel smell, there's no leaks. Start your car. It may take a little while to get everything circulating and running again, but eventually it'll start. Mine took a little while, but I just came out this morning. It's the next day. Came out this morning and it started right up. So hopefully that fixed my problem, and hopefully it'll fix yours. So have fun, guys.